If you guys haven't seen the Chris Van Vliet interview with Mustafa Ali, I highly encourage that you guys check it out. In fact, I'm going to put the full link to that interview in the description down below. Mustafa Ali details a storyline that actually had to be edited off of TV due to some controversy. Now, this is very interesting because for those who didn't know, Mustafa Ali tried to bring this political character to WWE on TV. However, network officials were against it and WWE decided not to do so. Now in TNA, there was a little bit more freedom and they thought it would be a good idea to do it. And they tried. They definitely tried. And they definitely implemented it in certain ways, but obviously you could tell they played it safe. But in this interview with Chris Van Vliet, Mustafa Ali actually confirms that they had to edit a promo due to a real life circumstance. And I thought this was incredibly interesting. He says, in TNA, I had a feud going on with Mike Bailey, weeks, and I'm talking about weeks before a real life event happened. We came out with this idea where after I'd been torturing Mike Bailey for weeks, I'm pulling up to the arena in an SUV, and I have a campaign manager with me called Campaign Sing. I'm like, man, these idiot voters love me. Watch me put the window down. And he's like, sir, I don't think that's a good idea. I'm like, shut up. They love me. And we have all these fans going, yeah. And I'm shaking their hands, these idiots. As I'm shaking their hands, I'm going back and they say they love me. And appears Mike Bailey within the crowd. Mike Bailey grabs me by the throat and is trying to pull me out of the SUV. Secret Service jumps on him and I'm like, drive. So we drive away. Later on that night in a promo, I say Mike Bailey tried to attack me, which the public has deemed an attempt on his life. We tape this. This week, it's going to go live, which is a Thursday. Earlier that week, the incident happened with Donald Trump, the attempt on Trump's life. So I'm sitting and I'm watching this. Oh no, some people had nothing to do with it, right? A genuine coincidence. So I had to text TNA because some people would think that we are parodying what happened to Trump or making fun of it. And no matter how you feel about someone, death is death. And I don't wish that upon anybody. So I made the call, hey, I think we should edit this. So we edited that part out, and it just goes to show you the volatile nature of this character. Very interesting stuff from Mustafa Ali. And again, if you guys didn't watch the interview, the link's going to be in the description because it is really good. But this just goes to show you how careful you have to be with professional wrestling. And it's not something that I entirely agree with, to be honest. I've said this multiple times. You know, pro wrestling is television. It is scripted entertainment. We have seen tons and tons of storylines like this that appear in crime-related shows or other shows that are on national television. And for some reason, pro wrestling has this thing where they tend to be a little bit more careful than some of these other shows. And I never really understood that. But at the same time, too, I can understand his perspective here, right? Because you don't want people to think that you are making a parody of what is currently happening in the world. And obviously, when things like that happen, you don't want to have a storyline not only depict you as a wrestler in a negative light, but you don't want it to reflect poorly on the company, especially TNA being a smaller company. You don't want to make it look like a desperate attempt for attention when they definitely don't have to do that. But it is a very controversial thing. And I think this is one of the most unique characters in professional wrestling because Ali is right. It's a very volatile character. And I think there's so much range with this character and so many ways to go with this character that, of course, some people may be offended. Now, again, I just like to remind people that pro wrestling, it's television, right? And things that you see on television, you shouldn't believe that it's all real and stuff, you know? And I think that's one of the biggest things I find to be incredibly disappointing with professional wrestling, because I do feel like a lot of other shows in the world of Hollywood, they get away with so much of the stories that they're telling. And sometimes they're dark and they're gruesome and they're offensive, but they depict real stories. And I feel like while I understand Ali's perspective, it would have been really interesting to see how the reaction would have been if it aired. But also at the same time, too, I understand both sides of the coin, right? And I think that's one of the most interesting aspects about it. Like, both sides make sense. If they were to air it, there might be some backlash. If they didn't air it, people are going to say, hey, why didn't you air it? Like, it's not that big of a deal. So I honestly understand both perspectives. Now, I do find it incredibly awesome that Mustafa Ali has been able to find such a unique character that he portrays very well. I think his work in TNA was exceptional. And I think for those who saw a glimpse of it, really got to understand that this guy is more than just a wrestler who does really cool moves. I feel like he was always kind of screwed in the WWE landscape because, quite frankly, WWE didn't really know what they had character-wise with Mustafa Ali. And even before he got released, they tried to bring it to NXT television, and even the network executives were not cool with it. Obviously, Mustafa Ali did not have any plans to parody what was going on with Trump. Obviously, it's just part of his wrestling character. But, I think he's such a unique wrestler, such a great character. Sometimes I think in wrestling, it is cool to test the boundaries. I think it's okay to do so. So I do wish it would have aired. I do wish to a certain extent we would see them kind of cross the line a little bit. Again, it's just pro wrestling gets treated as a different world for some reason, and it's just the way it is. Ali is a fantastic character. There's rumors that he's going to potentially come back to WWE. I made a video on this on my main channel, so if you guys did not watch it, make sure you guys check it out. But I really am curious on what you guys think about that. And, while we're at it, we did talk about it a little bit in that previous video. Mustafa Ali coming back to WWE. When WWE is moving to Netflix, there might be a little bit more leeway for WWE to get away with a character like that. And it's intriguing to me because with Netflix having that WWE deal, there is different guidelines that they can follow for the kind of content that they push. Now, obviously, WWE has to be careful because they have to make board members happy. They have to make stockholders happy. They have to make their audience happy. You don't really see WWE doing anything too risky. But you have to wonder if maybe WWE would kind of allow for a character like this to happen. And if it were to work, man, I think that could be a really big thing for Mustafa Ali. It's interesting, definitely interesting. And the fact that he didn't bring this character to AEW also tells you that maybe AEW was not interested in it, or maybe they were afraid to kind of cross the line in certain ways. I don't know. There hasn't been really anything documented as far as to why AEW hasn't signed them, but definitely intrigued by it. And again, if you guys didn't see that interview, check it out. He tells a lot of great stories, and it just goes to show you how unpredictable things are in wrestling and how things in the real world can impact a wrestling storyline. So obviously, if you guys haven't watched it, watch it. I think if you were somebody who didn't really like Mustafa Ali before, I think watching the interview would change your mind a little bit. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I appreciate you all watching, and I'll see you next time.